I always songwrite, like I was in bands and stuff when I was in high school, and I always was writing songs. I was interested in like dance music and rock music and pop music I never listened to. When I decided I wanted to start making pop music, I spent 1 year just listening and trying to copy everything that I was hearing. So that's kind of how I learned how to do pop music. I actually first started hearing about K-pop when I was in college. I kind of knew about K-pop, but I didn't listen to it. I only heard about it when we would go to noraebang. But my first really learning about it and learning about a lot of different artists and listening to the music was when I was introduced to SM Entertainment. So it's such an interesting question because I feel obviously even then, 2009, that time, it's a lot different than it is now. Each company kind of has its own identity, musical identity, SM style. As I listen to more SM music, I figured out their style and what they like and what kinds of things they do in their records. Familiar to me. YG, it was the same thing. They have their own sound, they have their own production style. JYP, they had, those were the three big ones then. And then of course when Hyde came in, there's their own style. So for me, the sounds that were special for those artists and those labels. And it was different than the Western pop that I was used to listening to. So it was really interesting for me to learn about that. I think K-pop, chameleon, but it draws on a lot of different things. Country music, kind of a specific thing that it sounds like, but K-pop can be anything, especially the idol music, because you can pull from Latin pop, you can pull from hip hop, you can pull from rock music. I think what makes K-pop kind of special as a genre is focus on the group dynamic. It's hard to say exactly. I would say probably the biggest time change was maybe around 2019, 2020, probably right before COVID and then right during COVID. And I think it really just has to do with how big BTS became. Other companies saw potential for more global market reach, and they started to adjust their sound to be more global friendly as opposed to specifically Korean general public friendly or just Asian public friendly. They wanted to be more broad. So I think you started to see a big change in a lot of the sounds around that time. How I do it's definitely different. Specifically, if I'm working with a Western artist, usually how it works in LA is the artist will come to the session, they'll be involved in the writing, you'll sit in and you'll write a song together. K-pop, usually you make the song before, present it to the artist, and then the artist will perform the song in the studio. So in terms of how we make it, it's definitely different. So for me, I like the structure of how the K-pop system works, where we can make songs and present them. Just personally, I know a lot of writers that prefer to work with an artist directly and write the song together. But for me, if I was going to be doing that, I really need to have a very strong connection with the artist to feel comfortable doing that. So for me personally, I like the way that the K-pop system works. I can tell you in the songwriting community, a lot of Los Angeles writers, we're not really interested in that. After 2020, all those same writers were calling me up. People aren't just discovering it now. Everybody knows about it. So it's kind of become more normal. So it feels more just a normal genre of music rather than this new thing that's coming in. I also think that there's a large number of songwriters, especially younger songwriters, newer songwriters, that really do like K-pop, and they discovered it because of BTS or TWICE or Blackpink or whoever. There's real fans too. Yeah, it's really interesting because it's really very different than how the music industry here works. Generally, at least the US music industry is artists will build themselves up. They'll grow their audience themselves, and then when they're a big enough size, then a label will come and say like, hey, let us support you and help you get even bigger. And the Korean system, basically doing auditions and finding a group to become trainees, that's like their life. Kids, when they do this, so there's no school, or like, you know, it's like, this is their life. That would be a huge challenge for companies here with like, first of all, like the law, like making sure that it works with like local laws. So like to follow the structure of like what the K-pop trainee regimen is, I think would be a big culture shock for a lot of people, kids and parents, everybody really. So I think it could work if you found if it was the perfect situation, but it's really like taking another culture and putting it here. I mean, you know, California specifically, I think with like child labor laws, I think there's like very specific rules, like they can only work so many hours in a day. They need to have like a certain amount of schooling every day. That would be the number one thing, to like do it in a way that works with the US laws, which is different than Korean laws. This is cool, like the amount of like dedication and like just straight up hard work that like goes into making this work from everybody, like the company that's basically investing so much into these kids, training them for years, and then from the kids' perspective of like giving up your childhood really to do this. I think it's kind of like it can create a really great entertainment package. Like and obviously it works. Like look at the success of K-pop. You know, Korea is a small population country, but like their music industry is one of the biggest in the world, and it's because of the system, like no doubt. But I wouldn't want to do it.